Yo, hey, what's up, guys? We got some news, and we have to talk about, of course. We will get a rebalance, and yeah, it's about a Void champion and a Mythical again. And these days, I wish it would be more like also a couple of epics and maybe some legendaries that are for free or something, that we actually get something out of it. Like some epics have like a 50% chance to place a decrease attack on an AoE or something. It's just not that great anymore. But like always, it would be amazing if you press that like button, subscribe if you haven't done already, to let the algorithm know that I actually exist. So, who's the first guy? Oh wait, it's not Togron, it's Togron. He is by itself a good champion. I don't think everybody will have him. Of course, it's a Void champion, so it's kind of rare that actually people will use him. So kind of quickly, let's go over his kit and what will change about him. There is something really juicy about him. Like really, I like it because he will make some Titus teams a little bit more useful. So first of all, his attack, his A1 is the main thing about him. And it has a 20% and a 50% chance to do a buff spread. What will happen is that we will get, instead of a 30% right there, 20%, we will get a 70%. That means plus the buff increase on your books, it will go to 100%. And I'm telling you right now, for Titus teams, there are two main champions that can do something great for you if you don't wanna do endless damage every time. If you just wanna do your run and then just go ahead and do something else. It is about the buff spread, and Loki and Togron are the best one because you can use that buff spread on other champions. I can buff spread my partner's buffs, not only my own, like Odin, Gamaran, and some maybe champions I forgot right now. So this will be huge. It's 100% for each ally, taking one random buff and spreading it across the board. In a Hydra team, that's 6 allies, and you can spread those buffs. Hey, it is amazing. Yeah, you know, Titus, you can buff spread the Volcano shield and also the normal shield, not the gear shield. But if you just use buff spreaders in a way where you're like, I have that Volcano shield, I have that other shield, I get my buff stolen, I get Eden, or whatever happens to you, the RNG part of it, you can kind of negate that by just spreading those buffs back to him, not doing that crazy damage anymore, but you can just continue your run. So that's what I really like about it. Let's talk about the A2. What have changed? Let me quickly see. Alright, the skill is also places a 15% continuous heal buff and a block debuffs buff on all allies for 2 turns. That will be new on him. That is actually not right. No, he doesn't have actually. Everything will stay exactly the same like you see right now, but he will also get a block debuffs, and what was it? And block debuffs and a continuous heal. So that continuous heal was, yeah, on with current HP. Like this was always conditional. It will be now every time. That is good. Like he will be a really good champion. Like block debuffs, increase speed, and so on. Let's talk about the A3. What will change in here? Let me quickly see what will change. Like everything will be exactly the same. Wait, removes, increase the turn meter. Oh no, okay, alright. It will also remove all debuffs from all allies. Increase the turn meter of all allies by 20%, plus an additional 2% for each debuff removed. Hey, that is great, like more turn meter and also a cleanse. That's kind of a really nice buff on him for this part right now. That is kind of nice, for real. So, alright, and his passive, what will change in here? Increase allies damage dealt by 10% if they currently have less HP than the target. If any ally's HP is equal to or greater than their targets, increase their damage dealt by 20% instead. So if you just have less HP on your team, for example in a Hydra team or something, you do 10% more damage. And if you have any champion that has more HP than the current boss or the enemy at this moment, like maybe an arena or something, you do 20% more damage. And a damage booster is always welcome. Like, for real, I like my damage boosters. They make Titus teams, for example. I know I talk about a lot about him, but he's just a meta at the moment. But he does more damage, so this is actually insane. So, increases this champion and each ally's max HP by 10%. So it was not always, wait, let me see on here. Also increases each ally's max HP by 5%. Okay, he is now included himself. Wait, this champion. No, it was always his same. Like, he got his HP increased, and now it will be the whole team. That is actually nice. Like, I like that one, to be honest. That seems like a really nice buff. What else do we have? And also increases each ally's max HP by that will not change at all. But also that it means 100% more HP for your champions. Let's say in Chimera. That is actually nice. Wait, I think I forgot something about his. No, he has also increased accuracy, but that will stay the same. But yeah, overall, he seems to be a nice champion. He does a buff spread now on 100% on each ally. That is really nice. He gets a block debuffs, he gets a cleanse, and he also will increase your max HP over the whole board of the team by 100%. Just imagine you have a champion 120k and you increase that to 240k HP. Of course, it has some conditions, you need to do something. But now let's talk about the mythical champion, and hopefully he will be nice. Okay, let's talk about the mythical that is at the moment really bad. I have not heard anything good about him. Maybe in Faction Wars, because he's a mythical and gives you some advantages in there, yes. But outside of that, usually people don't use him because he is just trash. Okay, maybe he's not totally trash, I haven't played too much, but what will change about him? So his A1 attacks 2 enemies, then he has a 50% chance, a 50% chance freeze for 1 turn if the target is not under freeze. Debuff will repeat this attack once. Alright, so that will be his original. What will change? So the debuff cannot be blocked or resisted if the target champion is from the Gallon Pact. I actually don't know what that means. Like, I know that is a row in our faction wars, not faction, like in our index for our factions right there, I think. The corrupted, oh, it's actually, alright, so he will put a freeze on a 50% chance. Yeah, probably double time, like he will do that skill 1 time, then he hits 2 times, then he repeat the attack if he's not under freeze, and then you probably get a freeze. So those are, yeah, like orcs and stuff. You can decide for yourself if that is really useful for it, but technically I don't like that change too much because it's just a super conditional thing that is going on. So A2, what is this thing going to do? Place a block debuffs, increase speed on all allies for 2 turns, decrease the cooldown of all allies except this one by 1 turn. It's on a 3-turn cooldown. That is actually not that bad. Like, for that skill, kind of, I would recommend him. For some teams, cooldown decrease is always a nice thing. But what will change? What is going on? Alright, for this skill, there is actually nothing that changes. There's no rebalance, no nothing. But actually, that skill is a good one. No doubt. Alright, A3. Wait, give me a sec. Let me open up the thingy. Alright, so what is gonna do? Attacks all enemies, places a freeze debuff on all enemies for 1 turn, and a decreased speed on all enemies for 2 turns. And if they are from the Gallon Pack, the freeze will be 2 turns instead. Grants an extra turn. What will change? The thing that will change is also, and this debuff cannot be blocked or resisted from the Gallon Pack. Yeah, some scenarios that's cool because it will be 2-turn freeze. That's actually okay. Like, hey, if you get 2 turn of a freeze, you are out of the game. And also decreases the target's turn meter by 30%. If the enemies is from the Gallon Pack, decreases the turn meter by 50% instead. That is actually nice. Like, you freeze for 2 turns on the Gallon Pack, and you will decrease the turn meter for 50% from the Gallon Pack. Like, he will be a good counter for the Gallon Pack, yes! That is about it. So let's check out the passive. What is this? Whenever this champion receives a debuff from an enemy, has a 30% chance of placing a freeze debuff on that enemy for 1 turn, once per turn. This chance increases to 100% if the target is from the Gallon pack. So what will change? This champion or an ally receives a debuff. Oh no. It's not only him anymore. If you put a debuff on him or an ally, you have a 30% chance to freeze your enemy. It is kind of nasty. Put him together with a torment and you put buffs out there, you get frozen. You put debuffs out there, you get frozen. You get cheaped. So it's kind of nasty. Yeah. This chance increased to... Okay, I said that part already. And his base form speed will go from 100 to... Wait. Huh? I don't have him. So it will go from 100 to 105. That is cool. Not the biggest boost, but hey, some speed is always appreciated. So let's talk about the other form. So what is it gonna do? Attacks one enemy. If the attack kills an enemy, resets the cooldown of one of this champion's random skills. Alright. And is that the A1? Attacks one enemy with the cooldown of the champions. Alright, I gotta check, like, some skills, they don't just have a rebalance, so it's kind of, huh? What? Okay, but what will change? Will ignore 15% of the target's defense. If the target is under a freeze, will ignore 35% of the target's defense instead. The rest stays like this, and I think it's a good one. You kind of, when somebody is frozen, it does have some damage negation against you, so you do 25% less damage on an enemy that is frozen. But with that decrease, ignore defense things, I probably think you negate the damage negation, so you do original damage, kind of, maybe a little bit more. But let's talk about also the other skills. What is going here? Attacks all enemies. Under freeze done buff. There's so many. Or under a control buff. Each hit decreases each target's max HP by 25% of the damage inflicted. Stacks up to 50%. Well, it's actually not too shabby. Each hit also decreases the target's turn meter by 25%. This effect cannot be resisted if the enemy is under freeze. Alright, that's cool. What is he gonna do else on the skill? What is it? Damage multiplier increased. Woo! And that's the part where I'm a little bit scared, because you never know what that means. Like, damage multiplier increased by 0.001%. He still sucks, but we have to test it on the test server. I invite you to join me when I actually test him, because I want to see if that is something cool. Alright, let's talk about the A3. Attacks one enemy, will ignore 50% of the target's defense. Under freeze, will only ignore 100% of the target's defense. It's cool, ignore defense, really nice. If the target is killed while under a freeze debuff, also places a block revive debuff on them. Alright, what will change? So the thing will change it that he ignores 100% of the target's defense and block damage buff instead when your enemy is under a freeze. That part is not too great, like, yeah, okay. And if this target is killed while under a freeze debuff, replace block revive debuffs on them and places a freeze debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. So if you kill one, you get block revive and you put a freeze on them. Also nice. There's another change in here. The freeze debuff cannot be blocked or resisted by enemies from the Gallon pack. We know that already. That has been done a kind of often time now. And damage multiplier increased. What that means still, I don't know how good it will be, but hey, he needs some damage, 100%. So passive, what will change in here? What is it doing currently? Counterattacks with the skill. Whenever an enemy is increase the cooldown of any of this champion's skills. So against a Yumeko or something, he will just do his skill raw when he gets the skill from the Yumeko. What will change? Whenever an ally is killed, has a 50% of placing a freeze debuffs on all enemies for 1 turn. This chance increases to 100% on the Gallon pack and cannot be blocked and resisted. Those are kind of nice. Like, wait, can I... Whenever an ally is killed, has a 50% chance of placing a freeze. Is that just counting for him? Or if you kill as a Taras someone, will you still be able to do the freeze thing? Like, that would be kind of amazing. Overall, he seems to be okay. There's some things about him like that makes him kind of special. The damage increase part is the most interesting part for me because I want to know, is he kind of nice now? Can he do the Chimera and is he a monster because he has some necessary debuffs and stuff? Like, yeah, that would be cool. But overall, it's just about his damage and his kit by itself. Alright, if he has enough damage, that doesn't even matter. If someone has enough damage, the kit doesn't need to be that great. But that will be the end of the video. Make sure to press that like button, subscribe if you haven't done already, and yeah, have a nice day.